But I mean, transfer season is well and truly underway. Obviously, 1st of August is when it can all be released. But the big story that we're starting with, the never-ending saga, seems to be this one all the time. Remco Evenepoel, new story. Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe mentioned, but I mean, what is the new chapter that makes this more intriguing now?
Well, he's been linked to Ineos, IPT, Visma Lease Bike as part of that merger, remember, a couple of years back. But now it looks like we have finally our answer settled upon. It looks like Remco Evenepoel will be moving to Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe from 2026. The news of this broke at the beginning of the Tour de France. So the transfer guru Daniel Benson, former editor-in-chief at GCM when they had a news website. He posted on his Substack that this deal was 70 to 80% near completion. That then soon sort of, let the can of worms explode all over that first week of the Tour de France. Remco Evenepoel under the spotlight, as were his team. Patrick Lefevre, the outgoing boss of Soudal Quickstep, saying that he might even take legal action if this were true. Remco Evenepoel in the rest day saying he can't comment on it, but of course there's something there. And that has suddenly accelerated in the past 2 weeks. We now believe that this deal is near completion. There's a couple of sort of, points to be ironed out. Ciro Scanumilio of Gazzetta dello Sport says it can be considered a done deal. However, Daniel Benson, who broke the initial story, says that some things still need to be signed off, particularly from the third party. That third party will be Soudal Quickstep. As you may know, Remco Evenepoel is still on a contract until 2026, the end of next year with Soudal Quickstep. However, there is a bit of a loophole in Belgian employment law, which states that Remco Evenepoel could break this contract if a fee is negotiated. That fee has turned out to be €2 million, according to several sources, and Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe seem willing to sort of front that bill to get Evenepoel across to their team at the beginning of next year. Along with Evenepoel moving across, which can't really be confirmed until this time next week, his former sort of team boss at the Belgian national team, Sven van Turnhout, he is also moving across to that squad. Mattia Catania as well, close domestique of Remco Evenepoel as well, is strongly linked to Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. So we're starting to believe that this will be a reality as rumours seem to pick up. There is a real consensus now that it is all but confirmed on the Evenepoel Red Bull front.
Didn't he deny it? I thought I saw a quote where he was saying he was denying that this was happening, Remco Evenepoel, but I mean...
You kind of have to deny it to some extent, unless you're Dylan van Baarle and you go on a podcast and talk about it. We'll get to that later on. But you can't really confirm anything until August 1st. And I think as well, because there are lots of things that need to be ironed out here in terms of buyout clause, in terms of breaking that contract, which can be done, by the way, then, you can't really say too much. I think, this also comes at quite a turning point in the Soudal Quickstep sort of timeline. The team is changing management. Patrick's year, there'll be a new CEO next year. That seems to have really changed the team dynamic with sort of stalwarts of the team looking to move away. We also have Specialized rumored to be, potentially on the way out. That was a really strong sort of commercial contract they have had for a long time. Also includes the women's team, AG Insurance Soudal, which have this sort of informal but sort of familial tie with the squad on a sponsor basis. So, this does feel like the right time for this to happen. And Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe is a team that have big ambitions. They have a team budget that's rumored to be towards a €50 million marker, which is, the upper ceiling of pro cycling teams, similar to Visma, UAE, and Ineos Grenadiers. They could also, front that bill on this front. They want to win the Tour de France in the coming years. They're getting closer. I guess Lipovic is their place, points towards the fact that they are getting closer. They've had Grand Tour success as well in recent years with Jai Hindley and Primož Roglic at last year's Vuelta. Also, the matter of the bikes as well has been important. Specialized already provide the bikes for Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. Most of the bike is the same, apart from the group set. The group set that they ride is SRAM instead of Shimano, which Soudal Quickstep use at the moment. And I was speaking to some of the people in Specialized Global Team last week, and they were suggesting that they will do whatever they can to keep Remco Evenepoel riding Specialized bikes next year. The guy just released a new line of shoes before the Tour de France called the Remco Torch. Can't really avoid that one. And also, he was part of this big marketing campaign for the new S-Works Power Evo with mirror saddle that came out just before the Tour de France as well. He was kind of the figurehead for that. They worked very closely with his bike fit as well, particularly for that mountain time trial. So I think, the stars really are aligning for this move to happen, although we've had so many rumors building up to this point, perhaps strongest with Ineos Grenadiers. So, Scott, it's looking like this might actually become a reality fairly soon.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if this deal was actually done beforehand or if this is where we're just seeing like maybe the deal's already been signed, all the terms are done, and we're just seeing them like being released like trickle by trickle. But don't you think there's going to be a problem next year? Because like you've already said it, Florian Lipowitz looking very good, and I'm sure he's a lot cheaper than Remco Evenepoel, but you said a big budget. You've got Jide Hindley in there as well. I'm sure he still has GC ambitions for his own chances. You've got Primoz Roglic in there, and then Remco Evenepoel. I mean, and Vlasov. Let's not forget he's a former top 5 finisher in the Tour de France. So it's getting a bit crowded.
Yeah, it is getting very crowded. Roglic as well. We don't really know what's going to happen with Roglic. Talks were of a contract extension at Red Bull earlier in the year. Nothing was ever formally confirmed, and I haven't heard much since. So Lord knows what's happening there. Roglic, of course, wants to try to win the Tour de France, or at least make the podium before he retires.
He did a good job this year, didn't he, by attacking suicidally.
No risk, no glory. But he's still got, probably another Grand Tour victory in his legs. Whether that will be at Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe rather or not, we will find out. Don't forget as well, Giulio Pellizzari rode a brilliant Giro d'Italia. He's incredibly young. We don't quite know what his ceiling could possibly be. Jai Hindley, yes, but I think he's somewhat been forced into this luxury domestique role, a bit like Joao Almeida at UAE Team Emirates. He rode the Giro solely in support of Primoz Roglic without a Tour de France start this year. Things will need to be sort of sorted out at Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. Their tactical sort of playbook has been questioned many times during the recent Tour de France and at the Giro d'Italia. So, the pressure will be on. But as far as the team are concerned, we did hear sort of some things from inside the team saying that, nothing has changed in terms of this contract saga, but that's been conflicted by other sources as well. And Jürgen Fore, who's going to be the Quick-Step CEO, he also is saying that, Remco's going to be here next year. So this could all fall through at the last minute. Things like this have happened before. Perhaps riders at Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe will be hearing this and pushing back at this prospect.
You said the budget. They're probably going to be one of those teams that can fund multiple million euro contracts. I'm sure Florian Lipowitz wants a bit of a pay rise after that at Tour de France as well.
Well, his contract is also up at the end of this year. So
Ooh.
That could also open the door. I have not heard of any sort of rumors about an extension, but I imagine after this Tour de France, his agent will be calling and they'll try to get something in place. Don't break a proven formula. There we go. He's had a great year this year. Imagine he could stay, but the team were very, very pragmatic about Lipowitz. He wasn't even supposed to ride the Tour de France at the beginning of the year. It was sort of added in last minute. They wanted to kind of keep him in these 1 week stage races, see how he performed, then put him into a Grand Tour, not necessarily with leadership duties. But as the cards have fallen, he seems to be one of the team's best GC players at the moment. Don't forget as well, they have a very good development team, the Red Bull Rookies team as well, filled to the brim with strong young talent. I believe with Luke Tuckwell finished on the podium at the Baby Giro. Don't quote me on that one. He was wearing the pink jersey for a lot of that race. And they also have the Enka Auto Ada development team as well for younger riders coming through.
Do you think, well, you were saying their whole mission is to win the Tour de France. Is Remco Evenepoel that guy?
No. I don't think so.
Not even like, oh, maybe. We don't know.
No. I can't really give much nuance to my take. I don't think Remco Evenepoel will win a Tour de France. I think we've seen strong enough evidence in the past 2 years to suggest that he is not quite on the level of Tadej Pogacar or Jonas Vingegaard. Evenepoel is now 25. He is only a year and a half younger than Tadej Pogacar. Yeah, and his Grand Tour record is shaky. He's crashed out and had bad off days at many Grand Tours. He's only really had a clean run at 2 Grand Tours, being the Vuelta he won. Yes, he won it. Only when, Roglic crashed out. And last year's Tour de France, he finished in 3rd place, almost 10 minutes behind Tadej Pogacar. Yes, that was off the back of the crash in Italy, Basque Country, I understand. But for me, what I think Evenepoel does provide, which I think has been a sort of untapped goldmine, is the fact that he is a fantastic classics racer. Yes, he's got 2 Liège-Bastogne-Liège victories, but I think one day he could win the Tour of Flanders. I think that he could be right up there in a Milan-San Remo format, in a Flush Milan. He could probably win the Tour of Lombardy. Another world title definitely could be under his belt on the road, as well as, harvesting rainbow jerseys against the clock. I don't see anybody really coming for historian as the best time trialist on the planet. And that, of course, is a lucrative spot to be in as a team. You constantly have that rainbow jersey and your bike winning the World Time Trial Championships. Evenepoel, I just don't think he will win a Tour de France. He could maybe win a Vuelta or a Giro in the years to come, but I do think he's got plenty of monuments in him and potentially a Paris-Nice somewhere down the line.